Alright, we are back at the Chicago IBJJF. This match is much shorter than some of the other ones I've posted. This takes place in the Masters 2 division. So one thing I can tell you right away is the pace of a 5-minute match is a lot different than the 10-minute rounds that I'm used to. Not so much in speed, but the relative strength used over that 5-minute period seems to be a lot higher. So we're coming up on a drag to trip attempt that doesn't go quite my way. We're going to rewind in slow-mo and see why. So I do a good job dragging the arm and making him take a step forward, and I even do a good job covering his foot on the right side. But clearly this isn't the first time he's seen this takedown, so instead of trying to take a step forward, he pulls that left heel up toward his butt and he steps over my foot, avoiding the trip. So I use the sleeve and the cross collar grip to force closed guard. And you'll see I reach for the arm lock right away, but he had that elbow tucked really tight. I wasn't going to pass it, so I move over to this little chop sweep I like a lot. So we'll get a chance to rewind this and look at it in slow motion. Alright, so the foot on the hip and the left sleeve grip are going to make it really difficult for him to post when I start chopping him toward my left. I give him a pretty good hip bump to my right, so he's forced to center his weight, and when he does that I use the momentum to sweep to the opposite side. I'm changing my angle and chopping my right leg really hard across his back. That's tipping him toward my left side. The way that I'm controlling the sleeve on the left and the hip on the left will prevent him from posting. And the finishing touch here is the right pant grip that I have. I punch that up toward the ceiling, over to the sweep side, and he goes. So I almost secure the mount position, but he punches this right underhook, turns his hips, and just wills himself on top. Let's take a look again. So the problem with getting that underhook and wrestling on top is that that arm is exposed once you get there. It's hard to see, but I'm using my right forearm to frame his head away, and then I'm going to connect my right hand to my left shin and pass it for the omoplata. So now I've got his right shoulder locked out. I'm just moving deeper into the position, trying to get good controls. So I'm going to highlight it in a minute, but he keeps trying to bring his right knee over my body to counter this shoulder lock. Sometimes when you do that, though, you'll expose the foot on that same side, so I reach for a toe hold here. And the toe hold was initially strong enough that he actually had to roll with it, but now the danger's gone. At this point, I should have let it go. He's got no meaningful connection to me with his feet, and he's got no grips with his hands, and it would have been a really good time to just pick a pass and execute it. Instead, I chased the submission for too long. So I was feeling pretty strong in this position, hunting for that right underhook. I tried to punch it under the armpit, but then I found a gap under the elbow, and I'm able to make a nice hand-to-hand connection here. So this is really an ideal scenario for top half guard. I got him totally flat on his back, got my hands together, good shoulder pressure into the face, nice and low. But he was awesome at swinging his legs to the opposite side and loading my weight up almost into a deep half guard position. So because I'm already up on points, I am being super slow and conservative with my passing. The ref pretty fairly considers it stalling, so I get the first ding here. So once again, he's being pretty disruptive, swinging his legs to the left and then trying to use my reaction to swing back toward the right and come on top. But because I've got this right underhook, and I also know how to use that right butterfly hook, I just block the elbow here and tip him right back over. I also had an underhook when I executed that butterfly sweep type movement, so I'm going to use that underhook to flatten him out and eventually free my right leg.
Joseph, please come to check-in area. MC number 6, final call.
So I'm trying to cut through the guard pretty slow here. I think at this point the score was 9-0, so no major rush. Watching this again, I wish I'd have forced the pass a bit harder. The only reason he's really able to put up a fight in this position is because I'm letting him get on his side. What I should do here is get a deep right underhook and lift that bottom elbow off the mat, which would flatten him out. and then I could bring my left instep over on top of his top leg and use those controls to pry his guard open. And again, he's really tricky in this bottom half guard position, swinging his legs to one side, and then see he's diving that hand under my hip to try to load me up as well. So it's really just more of the same here. I've got pretty good upper body controls. I'm keeping him pretty flat, but he's just really strong and really tricky with that foot trap. So it became pretty obvious that he wasn't interested in rolling into me toward the near side, hiding his elbow and wrestling up. Instead, he was always trying to sort of spin away from me. So I left his bottom sleeve and went for this double lapel control instead, and I tried to force the mount. You can't see it from this angle, but he's going to try for a footlock on his left side. I step out of it, then I get a chance to take the back. So he's going to use his right arm to try to dig my hook out, but when he does that, I use it to start setting up the crucifix position. So I'm going to post on my head and use that as a pivot point to roll through. So when we get to the far side, I figure for my legs and I set the crucifix, but the match is already over.